Alright, North Carolina and World War II, Section 4. Okay, Section 4 has 4 words to know: rationing, training camps, victory gardens, and polio. Make sure you're doing your Cornell T, your essential question. Alright. What contributions did North Carolina make toward the war effort? Alright, so this is going to be Section 4, North Carolina and World War II. Today we're going to focus in on what actually North Carolina does to help out in World War II. Alright. Okay, 1940, a little bit before the war, hundreds of women are working downtown. Alright. At this time, North Carolina only knows a couple things. Well, we know industry. We know we have a lot of factories. Okay. We know we have segregated schools. Alright, segregation. We know what separation is. We know what segregation is. It's a separation by color or race. We know a graded school is just like schools we're in now. A graded school, you have to pass a certain grade to go to the next class. Also, we know automobiles. We know the Model T by Henry Ford was your first car available to the people. The Model T. Alright. So North Carolina knows industry. We know segregated graded schools. And we know automobiles. We know these 3 things. Okay? So, mobilizing for the war. When the war began, Congress started the military draft. The military draft. You need to make sure you know what a draft is. Okay? Some of you might, if we have a World War III, 4, or 5, might be entered into the draft. If you're sent to the draft, you have to go. Alright, there's no asking about it. You have to go to war. If you don't go to war, then you will go to prison. Okay? So they had the military draft where they drafted people 18 and older to go into the military. Alright? So men to service. Okay? The U.S. government helped out. So the government helped by producing industrial goods. Okay? They produced industrial goods. This helps out North Carolina. North Carolina has a lot of goods being sent in. Alright, so who were we fighting? Well, we were fighting Germany and Japan. These are your 2 Axis powers. Okay? North Carolina is with the Allied powers, not the Axis. So, North Carolina in the actual war. Well, hundreds of North Carolinians were on the ships sunk by the Japanese at Pearl Harbor. Well, when was Pearl Harbor? It was December 7th, 1941. December 7th, 1941. At Hawaii. Japan bombed Pearl Harbor, which started us in the war. In the actual war, there were more than 300,000 North Carolinians that were in it. And more than 7,000 were actually killed. So 300,000 North Carolinians were in the war, more than 7,000 were killed. Alright, North Carolina as a training center. Alright, North Carolina is a training center. So, North Carolina was a major training center for the different services in the military. Okay? Fort Bragg grew to 100,000 servicemen and women. So Fort Bragg, close to here, was a major service training center. Camp Lejeune also was a major center. Camp Lejeune in Jacksonville opened up 1942 to the Marines. Okay. Also, we have Seymour Johnson Air Force Base. We have Cherry Point. So all around Kinston, or all around where we live, there are different training centers. All right. Raw materials aid the war. Okay. North Carolina textiles, or our factories, made most of the fabrics or made most of the clothing for the war. So North Carolina textiles and factories made a lot of clothing. Also, Wilmington, North Carolina, produced, okay, Army trucks and warships, two major things for our military. Wilmington produced Army trucks and warships. Both helped out tremendously in the war. Okay, North Carolina tobacco. Remember, North Carolina tobacco is still a major crop in North Carolina. During the war, we made tons and tons of money. North Carolina tobacco factories produced millions of cigarettes, shipped out to all across the world. So shipped it out all across the world. So North Carolina is still making money from tobacco. All right, women and minorities. Women and minorities. All right, female college students picked cotton during labor shortage. Thousands of women served in the war. This is the first time women really served in the actual war. They also worked in factories. Okay, over here to the right, we can do it. This is one of your famous propaganda posters you've seen during World War II. Also, speaking of women, thousands of black women, this is the first time minorities, helped out in the actual factories. Black women moved from rural areas to urban areas to help in the factories. Alright, so this is a very important slide, a lot of key terms. So a sacrifice, what are we giving up at home? Well, the first thing is groceries were controlled through rationing. Rationing, what are your words to know? What a rationing is when you pretty much, families could only buy limited amounts per month. So you're only allowed a certain amount of food or a limited amount of food per month. Right? So you only have a certain amount each month. Families were also encouraged to plant victory gardens. Another word to know. Well, what a victory garden is, pretty much when you raise your own food at home. You raised your own food at home. And the last word to know is polio. Well, what is polio? Well, first, polio struck hundreds of children in western North Carolina. New drugs and physical therapy saved lives. Polio was a major disease that took many lives of people in North Carolina and all over the United States. Alright? Alright, here's a video we watched in class. The Tuskegee Airmen. The Tuskegee Airmen was your first completely all African American Air Force fighter people. They fought. They were also called the 99th Air Force. What was so significant about them was they had over 200 missions and never lost a single person. Alright, so here's your summary slide. Summary. What contributions did North Carolina make in the war effort? Well, Congress issued the military draft. So you had to go to war. 300,000 North Carolinians served. 7,000 were killed. There are numerous bases in North Carolina. North Carolina factories helped produce war goods, so we sent things for the war effort: textiles, tobacco, ships, also trucks. Okay, and families made major sacrifices at home through rationing. Alright, this is all for section 4, chapter Great Depression and World War II.